even look away from oil, for example, the solid minerals we have alone, if it's well harnessed, you have Chinese in every forest in this country where mining is taking place. Even as far as to my village that is remote, you have Chinese there.
So amount of money, and I need so amount of money to service this debt. Will I go and take more debt if my name is Nigeria?
Hi, welcome back. This is News Insights. I am Pelumi Amos, your host. Today, we'll be talking about the Tinubu's request to National Assembly approval for new foreign loan. And I have two interesting guests, or rather discussants, in the studio with me, Mr. PK, that's Pastor Kingsley, and Engineer Kingsley. We have two Kingsleys in the studio today.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me back all the time.
You're welcome. So on today's segment, this first segment, we'll be talking about Tinubu's request to National Assembly for approval for new foreign loan. I'm very sure you've seen the news of Tinubu's request. So we would like to talk about this whole loan thing that has been happening or going on for a while now in Nigeria. Because I think there's a part I read on Twitter that said each Nigerian now has a debt of over 600,000 for money where you borrow. They borrow on top of your behalf. So I would like us to talk about that. Mr. PK, please let's hear from you.
Okay, every country in the world borrows really, whether internally or externally. But it also depends on what you are borrowing for, what you are using it to drive. That's what we should look at. I was just a little digression. I was reading about Niger State the other day, and they were looking at states that have borrowed internally in Nigeria, and they put Niger State there, and they said there's a reason for their borrowing. They have massive infrastructural development and pushing for agriculture. Do you understand? Expansion, because it's a hydro state where power can easily be generated. Do you understand? So we know why they are borrowing. So why are we borrowing as a nation? Is for what? Now, these are the questions the National Assembly should ask, since it is before them, and the onus falls on them to approve this loan or not to approve this loan. So they should look at it. They have committees set up in both houses to look at external borrowing by the government. Do you understand? And all that. You know, every budget is always on forecast. This is what we are going to rake in. This is what we are going to get. Do you understand? And they put it there. We are going to get this one from oil. We are going to get this one from taxes. We are going to get this one from... Okay, so then maybe if it doesn't come as projected, we can now reach out to try to fund the whole thing, the budget, by these loans and all that. But they should look at why we're borrowing.
Because it's getting too much.
Yes, because we have everything with us. So why are we borrowing? Have we explored everything that we are supposed to explore? If we even look away from oil, for example, the solid minerals we have alone, if it's well harnessed, you have Chinese in every forest in this country where mining is taking place. Even as far as to my village that is remote, you have Chinese there in the bush. You have Chinese in Taraba cutting the logs that are like 100 years, 200 years old. Do you understand? So why don't we look internally first and see how the revenue, or are we borrowing to build infrastructure to make sure we are able to harness these natural resources? So that's one of the things I think we should look at.
Thank you, Engineer Kingsley. Thank you very much. Yeah, Kingsley, please, there's your opinion on this.
Yeah, I mean, he carpeted it by saying every nation in the world borrows. I heard you say it's becoming too much. Truthfully, it is actually not becoming too much if conditions surrounding the borrowings were appropriate. One, I think Japan has the highest debt to GDP ratio, over 250%. Okay, and China and America still has one of the highest debts to GDP ratios. That of Nigeria is ranking around 39% or thereabout. We are still way far from borrowing too much. But the question is this: our interest rate as a developing nation is almost 4 times of that of America. In some cases, 12 times of that of Germany. Why? So if those conditions are there, why are we taking those loans? Are the condition not equal with that of other nations? Now we come back to the usage of those loans. What are we using the loans for? You don't borrow loan to eat. If you borrow loan to eat, it means that you are eating more than you can produce.
Exactly.
But if you borrow for infrastructure, you borrow to acquire assets. Even in a normal business, let's reduce this nation to business. One of the reasons I've always advocated that people who have run business should run our nation. But let's not digress too much. That is a topic for another day. If you're borrowing for business, if you borrow now to buy this your clothes, and this clothes is not going to generate any income for you, your clothes does not qualify as a business asset. Business assets are meant to generate income for you. If I borrow to build this house, then this house will generate and pay back the loan over time, then it is appropriate. If you are borrowing to raise infrastructure, develop infrastructures, and at appropriate interest, because I don't know the fundamentals behind us not borrowing. We are a developing nation. We should actually borrow at a lower interest rate. So I don't know this quagmire that they made us to agree to borrowing at a higher interest rate. And that said, like he has observed, why don't us take advantage of the internal productions? You can see the current interest rate by the CBN. Obviously, it does not support any production. You know, they are applying interest rates to be high just to control inflation. And at the end of the day, the productive sector do not have any kind of specialized interest rate to stimulate people to do all these productions. Rather, Chinese are in the bush doing whatever they like while we are borrowing from them, from what they extracted from us. I mean, these things should not be so. And again, you said a loan approval request to National Assembly. Ordinarily, when you say you're making a request to me, I should be able to turn it down or approve.
Yes.
Let's hope these people are able to turn it down or approve. I can't say that. Maybe you help us more.
I can tell you for sure. Let's be factual and let's serve Nigerian the good news. The truth of the matter is that the House of the Senate and the House of Rep right now is a rubber stamp a legislative arm at this point.
And it shouldn't be.
Let's say it as it is.
It shouldn't be.
Let's say that it is. So I don't see them turning it down. I mean, we saw a national anthem that came into being under a curriculum.
And let me be honest with you. It's becoming too insulting for the senators and other legislators to think their vote at the floor is their prerogative. It's the prerogative of the people they are representing. They cast this vote, approval, whatever approvable or whatever, without taking recourse to the people they are representing. These things should be challenged. And I'm so certain 2027 is not too far. Maybe people like you can jump in and see how to challenge some of these things. You know, so that when they say, oh, a president has submitted approval request, then that like request, president should be worried.
He said no, whether they will approve or not.
Do you think the president is worried they might not approve?
So this brings me to my next question. What measures do you think the National Assembly should consider to this to approving that? Because now we're saying that we don't think they are going to turn down this this request. So what measures do you think they should consider to approving this this loan that Tinubu has requested for?
Okay, let me take that. You know, what is our gearing ratio? And what is our debt servicing commitment at this point? How much are we generating? In some months, we are spending over $500 and something million to service debt. Is this sustainable for us?
It's not true.
So you don't look at the fact that because America has high debt ratio, China has, of course, and Japan has. Those people have infrastructure.
There's already a reason they do that.
That's right. They deployed them, and they
politically they
are not
do
spending
that
as much as you.
Yes.
In the actual, the real value.
Yes.
In doing those, now our value, our naira has been deflated.
Yes, that's
obviously
deflated.
the cost, the local cost to us is so high. So the National Assembly should consider the cost of servicing these loans to think whether we can sustain it, whether we really need more loans. Like he said, budget is a kind of proposal depending on future activities. When we generate more, what happens to this loan? What will happen to generate? Because they're only sourcing debt to finance the deficit.
Yes.
You understand? Why can't us do more in production?
Exactly.
To close up this deficit. We have the natural resources. We have the people. We just need right policies. These are the things the National Assembly should consider and tell the president, look inwards. Let us make sacrifices for today. What are these loans covering? Are they for another set of cars for legislators?
Exactly.
Or what are they for holidays or for foreign training?
Or buying new
Training can be done here.
If I invite anybody into this studio, they can train us right here. Why do all of us have to pack to China or UK, Dubai in order to be trained? What are the content of this budget? Minus, throw away all these frivolities. All these do I call them luxuries? Yes, they are luxuries because other Nigerians don't even have access to go to school. You are talking about going to foreign land to train, where you can invite that person here, to the trainer here. Only the person's. Let me assume one person is going to train 20 persons, for example. That is hypothetical, though. If the person is coming from any foreign nation, you are going to pay the ticket, the housing, the accommodation and all that, just for one person. But if we are going to them, and most of this training are not training that depends on certain infrastructures. I'm an engineer. I do know that a certain training requires certain laboratory equipment. But these are not the training they are going for. In most cases, they are management training, mental whatever training, preparing them. A lot of them are even development, not training. You know, there's a difference between training and development. You know, a lot of them are development issues. You know, so but again, let National Assembly consider. Think, if I am the owner, my name is Nigeria, and I'm owing so amount of money, and I need so amount of money to service this debt, will I go and take more debt if my name is Nigeria? If all of them can think like that,
or cut down on my frivolities,
This clothes I'm wearing, I didn't buy it this year. I can wear it here today. Next time you invite me, don't be surprised, I will still put it on, and you do nothing to me. And I will say all I'm going to say here and go home. I will just wash it to be clean and press it. That's all.
Yes.
They should cut down all the frivolities.
Let me read what President Trump said.
Yeah.
He appointed Musk and one other guy, Rivoli or something, that contested for the post of president with him, during the Republican convention. He appointed them outside of government. He said they should look at. He said the president-elect that Musk and Wamsi will pave the way for my administration to dismantle government bureaucracy. He says slash excess regulation, cost wasteful expenditure, and restructure federal agencies. This is what we need in this country now. I mean, Belumi, do you know that we have much more than agency that is needed to run government? Agency for this, agency for that, that don't do nothing.
Doing nothing.
I think we'll use that as your conclusion.
They don't do nothing. You just set up one agency and the agency is sucking money and
at the end of the day, some people will tell you, oh, it's a way of getting some Nigerians to be employed. I say they are not being productive.
No, they are not being
You can open a farm and also send them to the farm.
Government is not supposed to be the biggest employer of labor.
No, it is nonsensical for government to be the biggest employer of labor. You can't be a supervisor and a worker
At the same time.
Let's open up the economy and let entrepreneurs come in.
That's right.
And have I said it yesterday. I said we must have the cost of doing business shortened.
Yes.
I mean, it must be reduced. Do you know that I went to America one time? My daughter wanted to get a passport. I got to find out that the agency that was issuing the passport, taking your data, is not a government agency.
Of course.
It's the home office.
Next time you are going to America, maybe you carry me out.
Let's not go there. They cut it, so that all these agencies are given to subcontractors.
That's right.
They set up their offices and send the data they are collected down to the home office.
That's right.
So they don't have any right to whether, if you want a visa or passport fast tracked, you go down to the home office and fast track your passport. Right. But their own is to capture, do this, do that.
Right.
And they have it in every local government. Right. In the whole of FCT alone. Yes. FCT, we only have two. At the national headquarters and in Gwagwalada.
Imagine.
And in every state, I don't know, maybe whether we have more than one. Every local government should have a birth certificate center, a death certificate center.
Let me tell you, they exist theoretically here. If you have, go to all, do you know population commission is represented in all the local governments in Nigeria? Where they issue death and birth certificate and all that. But you find out that because they are government agencies, their functionality is minimized. They are not being driven like private sector. We should run smaller government and bigger private sector.
Exactly.
You know, we copied presidential system from America.
Yes.
Wrongly, we don't do that. No, we don't do what they do. If you live in America, each state is independent on what they do. And when you are not mentioning the state, it's about private sector.
Yes.
But here, the government want to be involved in everything, and they do it wrongly.
Very wrongly.
Borrow for us, and
They must cut
Thank you
down.
very
They
much.
must cut down wastage.
Yes.
Buying big cars. Every minister has fleet in his cars.
2024 edition of cars.
what's wrong with their old cars?
Every minister that comes there has a new set of cars.
Thank you very much for your time in the studio today. It was quite an insightful time with you. Thank you very much,
You're
Engineer
welcome.
Kingsley and Mr. PK.
Thank
you. And thank you, viewers, for tuning in. I am your host, Belumi. This is News Insights. Until next time, bye.